Welcome back. Well, I'm like every other shooter. Every now and then you get this itch to go out and buy a new gun. Now, why I needed to get another 1911, heaven only knows. I certainly don't. I have a beautiful, accurate SR 1911 Ruger that I bought in the centennial year of the 1911 in 2011, and it shoots great. I mean, for a it's a, people laugh when they see price tags of $800 for a pistol for 1911, like it's junk. Well, this is what it shot at 25 yards one time with. This is with cast bullets, randomly selected cast bullets that vary in weight considerably from one to the other. This is not what it does. This is not what it does with good commercial ammo with, or even good hand loads with commercially made jacketed bullets. So why I needed to get another 1911, I don't know. But one of the things I think I really wanted to do was satisfy an old desire to have a Colt Gold Cup National Match. So you might ask, why in the world would any sane individual buy a Colt pistol these days? They're plagued with a history of problems going back for decades. They've had mismanagement problems. I mean, really bad management problems. I don't think anything besides Christianity has gone down so often and come back so often as Colt. Colt just seems ever since Samuel Colt made his first designs in 1836 and started his first factory in 1855. I mean, the company has been plagued with one thing after another. They've had the plant burned down in the 1800s. In 1936, a hurricane that came through New England flooded the Connecticut River, and it flooded the Colt factory that sits on the river. After the Vietnam era boom, their plant almost had to virtually shut down because the military was no longer buying M16s. Production of the 1911 went out of business after 1945 because the military had simply purchased so many 1911s from Colt that they didn't need. Colt just couldn't sell anymore. So anyway, and in recent years, naturally we've had issues with the recent Colt Pythons. So many of them basically were inoperative. So they've had all kinds of problems. The Colt Gold Cup National Match has gone through so many iterations through the years that it's hard to really keep track of them. They've gone from the pre-war, so-called pre-war issue, 1911 national match guns to what they are currently, and in between they've had all sorts of. They stopped production. They've had different types of tops on them. The tops have been round, just a standard style round top. They've had flat tops, ribbed, all sorts of things. But they've gone through so many different changes, and they've had light slides and now the current heavy slides, the standard heavy slides and everything. So other companies do it better, perhaps. Other companies do it a lot better, perhaps. More consistently, perhaps, with fewer, internal problems, perhaps. But there's something romantic about the Colt name. I don't think anybody can ever dispute the fact that between Winchester having its Pony Express rider on the side of their gun and Colt with his rampant pony, with a spear between its teeth and his legs. There's something romantic about just those images. In fact, I think Lee Iacocca probably picked up on that when he designed his Ford Mustang. And just the history of Colt by itself. I mean, the 1873 Colt Single Action Army Peacemaker. That's a storied gun that it's just never gonna go away. and the python. You know, all these different images, even the old detective special and everything. Sure, all their double action revolvers were not favored by police. They selected Smith and Wesson in the day because they had a smoother double action, and that's what they wanted. There were all sorts of things that Colt had to overcome through the years, but they're still there. CZ has since purchased them to keep them alive. CZ I think is the largest gun manufacturer in the entire world. I'm sure hopefully they'll keep Colt alive right in Hartford, Connecticut, where it belongs. You know, as a New Englander, when I drive down through Connecticut on that highway down through Hartford, and I see that blue dome coming up over the horizon, there's just something. It's almost like passing a basilica. It's like a shrine. To think of the history of that factory, that that it once did burn up, and that it's been flooded, and all these different things, and the thousands of guns, the millions of guns that have come out of that factory is almost beyond comprehension. And actually, when you drive by the factory, you expect to see something a little bit more glamorous. I mean, Remington in Ilion, New York, had a big brick facility. It looked like a college campus. And Smith and Wesson, the same sort of thing down in Springfield, Mass. Colt just looks like somebody else's, just any other factory, maybe a canning factory or something like that. It's got a simple, yellow smokestack that sits out there by the foundry that has Colt down the bricks, the yellow bricks. So, despite all the intrigue that's gone on with Colt through the years, and the boycotts and the mismanagement and the difficulties with production and quality control, blah 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 blah, I had to buy one. I just had to. It was just that romantic notion of having a Colt. And I say that in all sincerity. When I was in the Army, I was issued a Remington Rand down at Fort Polk, and I was issued a Remington Rand when I was over in Cu Chi, Vietnam. Both places, the COs, the commanders, the commanding officers, they had Colts in their hip. Now they, being captains, being superior officers, they certainly could have brought their own handguns. They could have brought their own Colts, but they always wanted to have the Colt, or they could go into the armory and they could handpick their own. But that Colt originality, the fact that John Browning at one time was associated with Colt, and during that association invented the 1911, that's a story past that's just not going to go away. So let's step over the bench and I'll give you a look at what I bought. Colt certainly knew how to create trademarks. Between the rampant pony and this logo here with the snake wrapped around it, combined with Python and Anaconda and all the other snake guns, it's just, it adds to that romance. Nobody else does it like this. Now here we go. This is not the first time I've been into this box. This is not an unboxing. I've had this out. I haven't shot it yet, though. So let's take a look at what I saw when I first opened it. I've got right here the owner's manual. It's got a safety plug here. That was actually in the chamber when I first opened it up. Comes with this required lock and cable, invitation to join the NRA, and then here we go. We've got this inviting little package right here. Look at that. It's still got the oil on the side of the gun. Isn't that nice? It's just, there's something very handsome about a Colt 1911. I'm going to take this safety tag off here, set that aside, and right before you, I'm going to snip off this. I'm going to snip off this tag right here also. I guess this gun belongs to me now. Once you do this, of course it always does. It's like a car. Once you've purchased it, it's used. There's no such thing as new in box. If it's a gun that was sold to a person and it was the first sale, that's the only time it's new in box. Everything else is used in a box. That's it. So is it a 1911? Well, of course it is. It's a Colt. Now here's the Gold Cup National Match variation. You can see that Gold Cup logo on the side, National Match. Now Colt makes other Gold Cups now. They make I think it's 3 or 4 other iterations of the Gold Cup name, and in stainless versions. And they have variations on the front sight where they have a luminous orange or green front sight. They've got the other more compact rear sights, such as are on my Ruger. And they have more combat-oriented, competition-oriented safeties and things like that. But this is what I wanted. I wanted to have a Gold Cup National Match because it's what I wanted for supreme accuracy, for the accuracy that you derive from having these Bowmar-style target sights with that wide black blade and the sharp front sight. That front sight is undercut. You can see it's undercut, and it's very sharp. It makes for a perfect sight picture, and that's what I call a good sighting system. Combat sights are combat sights. They're not designed for ultra precision. These Bowmar sights are designed for acquiring a perfect sight picture, time after time, something that's not being confused by a round bead that you're trying to locate within a rear sight. That's fine for combat use and for quick shooting, but for bullseye shooting, for that sort of pistol work, you really want to have that style sight. The magazine that they supply, and they only supply one magazine with their gun right now. They've had in the past, they've supplied 2. They've also supplied 2 different springs. They've supplied a green painted spring, which designates it for light target ammo, and they've also normally supply it with a 16-pound government issue style spring for ball and other service ammo. Matter of fact, I replaced the spring with an 18-pound spring that I have on hand, simply because I like the recoil effect, the recoil absorption of the heavier spring myself. It can sometimes provide a little bit heavier forward muzzle flip and things like that, but I like to have that additional cushioning at the back of the gun. It just it reduces the jarring effect that goes up through your forearm. It also, this National Match has got a wide trigger. That's something that's not, you just can't put a wide trigger in any 45, in any 1911, because this whole passageway has to be milled out to accommodate that wide trigger. That provides a very very nice feel for that trigger finger, and it's designed for target work. It's just, frankly, I think that every 1911 should have that type of trigger. Now that's a crisp let off. That is a crisp, very crisp let off. Let's check out the trigger weight. Now, I'm going to hook it right through one of those holes there so I can maintain a steady rearward pull on it. And no, I know it's not a digital one. It doesn't make any difference. It works just the same. Let's see where that went off. I put my glasses on here. It went off at, I got 3.5 pounds. Let's try it again. Got to keep my hand on that grip safety. And that one went off at 4 pounds. Let's try it again. £3.5 pounds. I'm sure that that's variations in the way I'm pulling. £3.5 Do it again. I think it's going to come out to 3.5 pounds. £3.5 Nope, that one comes out to 4 pounds. So, all in all, what I can tell you is that is a fabulous feeling trigger. It's not only, I'm going to give it a little bit of a trigger job here. You know how you do that? You apply pressure to the rear of the hammer, and you can oftentimes acquire another ½ pound of trigger. Try that again. That feels nice. Let's try that. That's a little trick that John Contos taught us at the Smith & Wesson factory. He said that's a $25 trigger job for you. And that was back when a $25 trigger job was $25. That's when it was like, we're talking $250. Well, that's 3.5 pounds. I'll give it one more. And the reason I'm doing this is because I think one of the hallmarks of the Colt National Match has always been its trigger. In fact, that one's slightly less than 3.5 pounds. And that one's 3.25 pounds. So that did improve it. Just that you don't have to apply hard pressure, just a little bit of thumb pressure, and that's 3.25 pounds. That reduced it by a good quarter to a ½ pound. There we go. So it's nice, really nice. Very smooth action, very tight. And in a recent video, I talked about this concerning, machine rests. This is not as important as many manufacturers make it out to be. I prize reliability over anything else in a 1911. I want a gun that always goes off, and I want it to go off from the day I buy it until the day that I retire it. I don't want to have to break a gun in order to get it to run right. This is not important to accuracy. This is very, very slightly important to accuracy, because the accuracy is not in the grip to the slide relationship, it's in the relationship of the sights to the barrel. That's acquired in the upper group. That's acquired by having a tight barrel to slide relationship and barrel to bushing relationship. That's where that accuracy is derived. Yes, you can show machine rest results by having a tight lockup between the grip frame and the slide, because when you place it in a machine rest, you're measuring the tightness of the slide to the grip frame. You're not measuring the accuracy of the sight relationship to the bullet leaving the barrel. So don't get those matters confused. I know that's used as an advertising gimmick by a number of manufacturers, but you know, I've been shooting 45s a long, long time, ever since I was in the military, and even before that. Let me tell you, this is a nice feeling trigger. Between having that wide trigger on the front and that clean let off with a 3 1/4, 3.5 pound pull, that's a gorgeous trigger. I'm anxious to give this a try. One of the things that this particular iteration features, and this is a new generation gun. It's returned to the flat slide with the ribs. It cuts down glare for when you're working outside. In a national match competitions, you're outside and it can be out there in the glaring sun. You don't want to have any light reflecting off the top of your slide. And trust me, even a sandblasted, bead blasted top will reflect light under conditions like that. And these beautiful Bomar sights, they're wide. There's that stallion right there on the top of the sight. It's Colt all the way. It's a National Match barrel. I believe that Colt is installing National Match barrels in all their guns right now, in all their 1911s, and for good reason. I mean, it's easier to just make one production instead of having different productions of barrels. So I think that's a gorgeous gun. You might wonder why I would purchase a gun that has been so plagued with a history of basically kind of a dysfunctional history, but through the years. But there it is. I just that's why I bought it. It's just got this. All the stuff on it is John Browning's Colt 1911, right from the roll markings to the Colt's patent manufacturing company, Hartford, Connecticut, USA. That's just it right there. Everything about it. So I'll take it out and try it with this. These 8-round magazines are fascinating. I mean, I've got 8-round magazines that are extended, but Colt managed to manufacture an 8-round magazine. I've read different things about them, that they're not reliable and things like that. I've heard that so-called, but I've never seen that. So we're going to test it ourselves and see just what it does. In fact, I picked up another brand new Colt magazine, 8-round magazine. The 7-round magazines are hard to find, but the 8-round magazines, there's plenty of them out there. You can order as many as you want. So I got this Colt 8-round magazine to go along with the other one. An extra round is always nice to have, especially in the 45. Well, there you have it. As you can see, I'm a happy guy. I broke open the piggy bank and I splurged a little bit. You know, they're not that expensive when you compare them to a lot of 45s on the market. But there's only one Colt Gold Cup National Match. That's it. And I don't often use the term lovely. But this is a lovely gun. I mean, absolutely beautiful. The blue on that is just nice. I mean, it's just that Colt deep blue. It feels so nice. It's got a beautiful feel to it. The trigger is it's just fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna probably get a hammer bite from this. I'm used to that, real men in the military, they didn't bother them to get a little bit of a bruise here on the back of their hand. It just goes along with the game. It's what real shooting is all about. It's there to make cocking of the hammer more easy. No, it doesn't have an ambidextrous safety. No, it doesn't have a large safety. It's sufficient. It's what John Browning made it to be. I learned how to pull this out and slap that safety down just as nice as could be. My thumb never had any difficulty grasping that. So It's good for me. It doesn't have to be good for you. It's good for me. And that's why it came out of my piggy bank. But I want to thank my Patreon donors because you've helped me purchase some ammo to shoot through this. We're going to take this out to the range and we're going to try it out. We're going to put it over a sandbag and we're going to just see how it does on the line and test it at 25, maybe even 50 yards on a bullseye target and see how it does. No machine rest. There's no machine rest allowed when you go to competition. It's all in your hands. So that's how I'm going to shoot it, is in my hands. I'm a very competent shot. I don't have any problems with shooting my hands or a machine rest when I'm over sandbags. So that's what we're going to do. But you Patreon donors, thank you so much for that support, helping me to buy that ammo, because ammo right now is just, as I've said so many times, ammo right now is ridiculously priced. It's starting to come back down a little bit, but it's very difficult to purchase ammo or bullets. And primers, forget primers. You can't, right now, to find pistol primers or rifle primers is very, very difficult. And when you can find them, the prices are extraordinarily high, plus the shipping if you have to have them delivered. So that's it. Benny's lying here. He's getting older now. He's 12 years old, so he does a lot of napping, like any old guy. But I appreciate you watching. Make sure you give me a thumbs up. Do that right now. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, please. Thanks for watching. God bless.